Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations and welcome to my live stream. It is a miserable wet Sunday here in Sydney. I hope the weather's a little bit nicer where you are, but I figure with this sort of weather, why not just sit and get a bit of recapping done? Not that I was going to be doing anything else anyway. I mean, it could have been a glorious day and I still would be down here recapping. So I will take my rain hat off. Hello to Steve, hello to Jay, Scarlet Swordfish, Drake 9800, or is it 9800? Or is it 9800? Hello, Scarlet's. I already said Scarlet. Joe Williams. Hello. So, anyone else there? You know, in there in the chat, say hello. Feel free to say hello. Once again, thank you very much for joining. I am going to be recapping a Macintosh Classic today. And Charles, hello, thank you for joining. And is that Bard or Baird? Bard S? Captain 318, hello. I have a customer who sent me, I think, three boards and a power supply. And one of their boards has kind of been put into the too hard basket for now. I might come back to that today, actually. But I wanted to get everything else done, so at the very least I can bundle up what I have got done and send it back to them. So, oh, what? All good. Sorry, I just saw something there that freaked me out for a minute. Max, hello. And Kai, hello. And Mr. Mac, hello. So I went back over some of my old videos, and I'm not sure I've actually ever done a Mac Classic live stream. I've done plenty of Classic 2s, but I'm not sure if I've ever done an actual original Classic 1. I mean, I feel like I must have, but, you know, even the recapping guide is like, it could do with some better pics, to be honest. But, hey, the notifications work. So, yeah, this is something that someone has told me. If you're not getting notifications, I don't know if it works, and I don't know if it'll completely mess up all of YouTube's algorithms or something like that. But apparently, if you unsubscribe and resubscribe, something like that, I'm not sure. I don't know. Apparently, and then, you know, just make sure you click that bell, do what you have to do. So that's reference to someone else there. I do apologize. That's an in-joke. Isn't that mean of me to be quoting in-jokes, inside jokes? So, stripped a Classic board a few weeks prior. Started reverse engineering it. Done the outer two layers. Need to do the inner layers. I'm hoping they're simple. Yes. I mean, I did cut one open once, and I think there are either 4 or 5 layers in total. There are at least 2 on the inside, but there might even be a third one. But I'm not 100% certain with that. So, but yeah. Well, good luck on the reverse engineering of that. That'd be awesome. Can you engineer it faster? Okay. So Kai, we now know. You've got a personal recommendation now from Steve. So there you go. But that sounds absolutely awesome that you're doing that. It's absolutely fantastic. Dana, hello. Thank you for joining. Do what you have to. You must have heard that. Dana loves that one. It's what is it? It's he says something like, hit the like button, smash that bell, do what you have to do. I don't remember the exact wording. I'll have to go back and look at it. But anyhow, gives me a good old chuckle. Now, just a little kind of recap. Oh, thank you very much, OA, for that $5 Canadian, which is probably worth about, actually, I think it's worth about $5 Australian from memory. I think we're about on par. I could be wrong, but my tube is broken. Relating Classic CRT. My tube is broken. Okay, when you say broken, I assume you mean cracked, no longer a vacuum. Where can I get a new CRT? Well, there is a good thing about it, and that is that particular CRT is a fairly common CRT, and that CRT was used in the 128K, 512K, 512KE Mac Plus, Classic, Classic 2, SE, SE30. Did I get them all? Hello, Michael. So there are lots and lots of computers that have that CRT in it. What you just have to keep in mind is that the CRT and the yoke, which is that big magnetic-y type thing that sits on the neck of the CRT, that has to be removed and replaced with the original. So I'll just bring up a Classic here because I have one. All right, so here is your CRT, and then it runs down and it goes along the neck here, and then you've got this little board that sits on the outside, and then you've got this bit here. This is called the yoke, and this sits here in the middle. Now the yoke is specific to the computer. So let's just say you've got you found probably, what's an example, a Mac Plus or something like that, and you managed to get hold of a good CRT from that. You're going to need to take this yoke off and replace it, this yoke off the Mac Plus one, and replace it with your Mac Classic yoke. But other than that, all of these 9-inch CRTs are all compatible across those compact Macs. So I always keep a spare up here. I've got a Macintosh Plus CRT there. And so if someone, and it doesn't have much burn in, so if I ever accidentally break a customer's, I've got that one there to put it in place. Now, touch wood, I haven't. I've only ever broken one CRT in my life, and I hope that's going to stay the same. As in, I don't break any more. I'm not suggesting I want my life to end. I'm saying I don't break any more. So, because that statement could have been interpreted two different ways. Right, reverse engineering the SE board too, Kai. That is awesome news. I love to hear it. It's absolutely fantastic. You're going to reverse engineer it the same size, or you're going to make like a little tiny one. Right, okay. Luke Davis, hello. Was it Muon? It has always been told to me, and I've never tried it, but it has always been told to me that once you have broken that seal on a CRT, it is garbage and cannot be replaced. When you consider that it's sealed with molten glass, I don't know that there is any easy way to vacuum them back out again and seal them up. I can't imagine you'd be able to do them in any way that you would consider to be super safe. So I would say, on the whole, I would consider that probably a no, but there might be someone out there that knows how to do it, or can, but yeah. Don't want to take the CRT from a working Plus, no way. Look, your best bet of finding a replacement CRT will be from another Classic or a Classic 2. There are lots and lots of them out there that have had battery explosions, and people might want to turn the computer into a modern one. They put like a liquid crystal screen in there and put a Mac Mini inside it or something. I've done that, which means you end up with a surplus CRT. Now, I did do that, but I gave my surplus CRT away, so I don't have that one anymore. But yeah, the best bet with that is to find someone with a battery exploded Classic or Classic 2 that they're selling as parts, and then you're going to be able to get the CRT from there. So that would be my recommendation. Awesome, Luke Davis got a SCSI 2SD, fantastic. I might make a quick mention about SCSI 2SDs very quickly, because I've been seeing lots of posts of them on the groups. One is that there are some other ones coming out at the moment. There's the SCSI, which is Raspberry Pi SCSI device, and that's where you ultimately use a Raspberry Pi as the controller, and then you have this little separate board which allows you to use that as a SCSI drive. Now, I like the idea because I like the fact that Raspberry Pis are so capable, and I assume that in the future, I don't know if it's available now, I assume that in the future it means that we'll be able to transfer files across via Wi-Fi or Ethernet of the Raspberry Pi onto the card. So I don't know if that capability is there yet, but I feel like that capability will be there one day. The thing I don't like about it is the Raspberry Pi is such an incredibly capable machine. It just sort of seems to me such a waste of it to just be used as a hard drive. But and then there's also the Blue SCSI. And there's another one as well. I can't remember what it's called. So there are different options out there. I still tend to favour the SCSI 2SD, and the reason for that is, well, number one, I'm able to make them very, very cheaply. So I have all of the bits here for making my own SCSI 2SDs, and we'll be releasing part 1 of a video on the subject or maybe as soon as this week actually. I just need to record the intro, which I will be doing soon. The only reason why I haven't recorded the intro yet is because in the intro I've got a script and I'm going, oh, this here is a SCSI to SD. And I sold my last one, and so I don't have one to wave around in front of the camera. So I've got to build one so that I can wave it around in front of the camera. So that's one of the reasons why I like the SCSI to SD, and then of course the new wave of SCSI to SD that are coming out, the SCSI to SD 5.2, where they're not here yet, but they are they're very, very close to here, as in there are prototypes already, where the SCSI to SD comes with a chip on it with an operating system already on it. And so you have the ability to basically, connect them up with system 7.5 or whatever already on there. And then, and you can just run installers and stuff like that. Because it's one of the biggest questions that people generally ask is like, oh, I've got my SCSI to SD, now how do I get it to work? How do I get a system on it? And if you're like me and you've got loads and loads of vintage Macs, it's a piece of cake. You just sort of connect an external hard drive or whatever, and, copy files across with FTP. I've got all of that infrastructure there. But if you've got one vintage Mac and that's all, and you're wanting to get it up and running, and you've got this SCSI to SD with a blank SD card, that's a lot trickier. So anyhow, I just wanted to mention those. The other thing that I really do like about the SCSI to SD over the other two competitors, the Raspberry SCSI and the Blue SCSI, is that those devices kind of have the connector, a 50-pin connector, in really weird places. So if you're connecting it into a computer, you sometimes have to, put the cable into a really weird position to get it connected, or in the instance of something like a Color Classic, where you really don't have much room to maneuver inside those, where the hard drive is, it can get a little bit tricky getting them all cabled up. So the SCSI to SD is laid out on the board in the same sort of shape and configuration as an original SCSI drive, in terms of the position of the connector and the Molex or whatever, and I just find them a lot easier to install. So, all right, let's just check the chat while I've been rabbiting away here. Would you like me to send you a few Macintosh SE reloaded board? I've got a version 1.5 ready to assemble and test. Reverse engineered. Yep, absolutely. Yes, I would love you to. Thank you. Yes, and I will definitely do a video on it. Cheap SCSI to CF card. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a SCSI to CF, but keeping in mind, of course, that one of the great things about compact flash is even though it's a little tiny compact flash, they're very, very similar in the way they transfer data to an IDE drive. It's my understanding that's the case. So if you're wanting to get an IDE to compact flash, it's a really, really simple sort of cabling proposition. But when you're talking about SCSI, it's very different. You don't really save anything necessarily by going compact flash, other than compact flash are faster, I think, or I don't know. They're certainly more expensive. Okay, just going through. Lots of catching up. Hello, Michael. Hello, Thomas. Did I say hello to you, Sabman356? If I didn't, hello. Justin Morgan, hello. Okay, and it's really wet here at the moment, and it gets a terrible musty smell in my shed when it's wet. It's awful. That's why I got my air conditioner on. I'm not talking to you, Sarah. Okay. Yeah, I've read about the reverse engineered SE30. That's fantastic. Yes, SCSI to SD is more powerful than the computer I'm using it in. Yes, the SCSI to SD actually has quite a powerful little ARM chip in it, and it's a system on a chip. It's the whole thing. It doesn't have a whole lot of storage on it, but the chip itself. But yeah, I mean, they're quite amazing. They look like that. That's what. Let's test out the top view microscope, top view camera. There we go. Look at that top view. That is the little ARM chip, ARM system on a chip that is used on a SCSI to SD. This is an unhappy one, but that's what they look like. Yeah. This seems a little dark. Why is it so dark? Do I need some light here? No, that's not going to work. I might need to brighten this up a little bit, so bear with me a minute while I brighten this up some. Brightness. It's a bit too bright, isn't it? Brightness, contrast. Ah, it's a little bit better. I know it's all flared out here, but I won't have this light here all the time. So, all right. So anyhow, let's get on here. I mean, if anyone has any questions, if they'd like to hear anything, the Macintosh Lisa that I have been working on, the one belonging to Madeline McAndrews, regular guest on Mac Yak. That has had its power supply recapped and its video board recapped, and I have adjusted the screen geometry and various other things, and it has a very, very unusual, quirky issue that I had no idea how to solve because I just don't know enough about Lisas, but it is basically up and running. It boots, you can play games and you can do whatever it is that you do with the Lisa, which is not much. Yeah, so that's all good, and that's going to be going back to its home because I have had it for quite long enough, and as much as I like having a Lisa in my house, when people walk through the door and certainly people in the know, the first thing they do is go, "That's a Lisa. Can I have a look?" Yes, I would like a Lisa as well, but what are you going to do? I don't have the ridiculous amounts of money required. They're even more expensive out here because they're even rarer out here. I think that's too bright now. Oopsie. That's not. Oh, I like it. Vibrant colours. Vibrant. Yes. Right. This is a little 3D printed container, little clicky container that I print these out when if someone asks me if I can just send them a couple of components, I put them in these little plastic containers that I 3D print. And I have had that happen just recently. So yes, the Lisa is all happy and running, and that's all very good. I'm working on a Macintosh 128K at the moment. I'm part way through it. May even continue it today. This is it here. And with the old Macintosh 128K, one of their main failing points, and for goodness sake, if you have a 128K and it's not working, and you jump onto one of the forums and say, "Hey, my 128K is not working," and then someone says, "Hey, recap it," can you just not listen to someone who says that, please? Their failing is not in the capacitors, okay? So it's not to say that a capacitor can't fail, but with these old Macs, they have problems, but they're generally not the capacitors. So, hello, Madeline. We were just talking about you. Maybe your ears were burning. So this is the 128K. This is also Madeline's. And what we're doing with this at the moment is we're future-proofing it. And what I mean by that is one of the main failing points of these are the little RAM chips, which live along here. And there are 16 of them in total. And what I've done is I have removed them all, which was an absolute nightmare of a job. I'm just saying that to prepare Madeline for the bill. And I am in the process of replacing them with these sockets. So what that will allow us to do is put all the RAM chips in them, and if one fails, it'll just be a matter of whipping out the failed one and putting in a replacement. And so that's what I mean by future-proofing. Sure, we could just replace all of the RAM chips, but some of these RAM chips may keep going for a few years, so we may as well just keep them on, and then we'll just swap them out as needed. So thankfully, when a RAM chip fails, the computer tells you which one has failed. It tells you with incredible accuracy, to the point that you can say, "Oh, I know it's going to be F8." And you go, "Oh, it's that one there." And then you just whip it out and replace it, and away you go. So, yeah, so anyhow, that's one of the projects that's ongoing at the moment. Nearly finished that one, and then I'll be doing a bit of testing. But I decided that today would be better off paying homage to the little Mac Classic, because it's, it's a very slow computer, and you could make all sorts of arguments about how bad a computer it was and how silly Apple was releasing something like this. But the truth is that they released it at a price point that made it sell incredibly well. So, you know, you can complain about how bad they were, but really it was a strategy that worked for Apple. It got Macintoshes in people's homes. It got Macintoshes in people in schools where they weren't there before. So a tent blew up in my Samsung DV camcorder. That's no good. Right, so let me just have a quick look here. I've got, oh, it looks like my count is at around about 39 people. So to all of you there, hello. If you haven't said hello, please jump on and do so. If you ever have any questions while I'm doing this stuff, please feel free to ask them. You know, because I know that a lot of people have been subscribing to my channel because I found a spare roll of solder wick. I was so desperate for another roll of solder wick the other day. It was just over there. Unless that's one I bought the other day and just ended up there. But anyhow, I know a lot of people have subscribed to my channel after watching my soldering video, and this is where I put all of the soldering stuff to use. And so if you have any questions about what I'm using, sort of how I do things, techniques, procedures, just feel free to jump on and ask. What did I want to say? Oh, I have just ordered a soldering iron from the States, or China probably, actually. I think it's from China. That's going to be coming out to me hopefully in the next few weeks. And it is, it's one of the cheaper versions of the T12 type soldering iron. So for those who haven't watched my videos, I talk about T12 tips all the time. And these are soldering iron tips like this. They're called a T12. And the important thing about a T12 is that the heating element, the heating part, is in the tip itself. Whereas a lot of soldering irons, the heating part is in the handle, and then you just put a little piece of metal on top of it and the heat gets transferred to that tip. This, the heating element, is actually in the tip itself. It's kind of nice. They're not super expensive. When the tips fail, you just chuck them and get rid of them, but you get much better heat transfer using a tip like that. And I really rate these T12 tip soldering irons. Now, Hacko make these T12 tip soldering irons, but they're quite expensive. I use an FX951, and it's not a budget soldering station. It's a nice soldering station, but it's definitely not budget. But there are some budget soldering irons out there that use T12 tips. There's the TS100, which you can modify with a little bit of 3D printing to get it to use these normal T12 tips. It actually uses the slightly modified T12 tips in the TS100. But you can get it to use these ones with a little bit of 3D printing thingy on them. So, you know. But there are some other ones. I've got one in the description of the video. Unfortunately, that one doesn't seem to be available at the moment, so I've bought a different one. I'm going to try it out, probably do a little review video, and then that might end up being the link that I put in my videos. So, okay. God, geez, yeah, the Capacitor, KSGR, Capacitor. Doesn't seem available at the moment. I mean, I'm sure it's available somewhere, but certainly not on Amazon, or not out here anyway. Right, just checking. Sunny, hello. Couldn't bring myself to like the Classic. Yeah, I mean, as I said, there is a lot to dislike about it, but I can tell you that it was the first Macintosh that our family owned. Because it was the first Macintosh that ended in, was at a price point that we could afford. I was already very much someone who liked Macs, and so were my parents. I mean, there were Macs at the schools and stuff like that, and Apples, because they were both teachers. And when the Mac Classic came out, we were able to have one in the household. We ended up getting a Warp 030 accelerator for it, souped it right up. But, as I say, there's a lot to dislike about them, but you've got to remember that without them, there would be a lot of people that never would have ended up getting into the Macintosh world because they wouldn't have been able to afford it. So, Joe, I use the KSG unit. Joe, what do you think of it, just out of curiosity? Because I recommend it all the time, so please tell me it's good. It's actually, I mean, to some extent, I kind of wish that I'd bought one of those instead of the Hacko. I mean, the Hacko's fine, but there are a few issues I have with it. I've got a Hacko knockoff over here as well, which looks like this. Off. This is it here. Oops, let's go that way. So you're looking at it. See how it says FX951? It's got everything there except the word Hacko. This is what the original looks like. No, I can't put that there. That's impossible. But anyhow, if you know what a Hacko FX951 looks like, you realise this is a pretty good knockoff. Now, the only difference with this one, well, I'm sure there are hundreds of differences with it, but the main functional difference is that it doesn't have the little switch in the back for the sleep mode. So this doesn't have a sleep mode. So, but it works. It's a good spare to have. If this one dies, I've always got that one, and I've got my TS100 as well. Okay, Chinese Fisher Price. That's what it is. Actually, mine had a broken power jack that I had to fix with my old iron, ironically. Hello, Francois. I go through tips like you wouldn't, you know, I mean, it's not surprising, obviously, because I'm soldering a lot. I mean, there's rarely a day goes by where I don't use my soldering iron, but I do go through tips. And I mean, just to give you an idea, this is the most commonly used tip, and I always keep a spare, unopened, brand spanking new spare, so that if it dies in the middle of work, I can just drop in a new one, and then I just order another one of those. I keep a fair range of tips here. I don't necessarily use all of them, so I'm going all soldery now. I'm not doing any work. I don't use all of these, but I keep a fair few here. I don't use this one pretty much ever. It's a conical tip. I hate them. I do use this bent conical tip quite a bit. And I use this great big fat one sometimes because it's got awesome heat transfer. This one here. Big bevel, big flat bevel tip. It's awesome. Same with this one here. You can do some real damage with this one, I'll tell you. Okay. 3D printed stand. Very pretty. Very pretty. All right. Fatal Moon, hello. How much math is actually used in these projects? My projects? None. Are you talking to Kai? I assume Kai. I imagine Kai, there's probably a fair bit of math used in that. Yes, I did hear about the case of the KSGER. That's my understanding. You can actually mod that, but has anyone died? I hope not. Hello, Trina. Thank you for joining. Just checking. Okay, just catching up. All right, let's get on to a little bit of recapping here, shall we? I've just been blathering away here. I've got to get some work done. As usual, when it comes to me removing caps, I tend to use a hot air station. The upside is it's very, very quick to get them off. The downside is that it's very good at melting plastic. So I take certain precautions to make sure that I don't melt the plastic. Because I don't like sending boards back to my customers with melted plastic. So what I do is I use these little blades, these snap-off blades. This once upon a time would have been lovely and shiny, but it's not now. These ones that go into these sorts of box cutters. And I use these blades. I like them because they're just thick steel and you can snap them to different lengths. And I use these to sort of put in between the caps and plastic things to protect them from the heat of the hot air station, working as a heat shield. Works quite well, does the job. I also generally try not to damage people's serial numbers. It's not something that I'm particularly fussed about, but I know some people do get a bit thingy about serial numbers. This one here, this cap is so close to the serial number, I'm probably going to remove this a different method. It looked like I got sunburn on my head, do I? I didn't. I always wear a cap because I'm bald. Looks that like, yeah, it's very red there, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's just the saturation, color saturation on this camera. So yeah, no sunburn for me. There we go. Let's just see. It is definitely making my hand very pink here. What if I change the hue? Oh, now we're getting green. Oh, pull the saturation back. There we go. Don't quite look as pasty now. There we go. It's definitely a pinkiness though, isn't it? Oh, never mind. Bald. Proudly bald. Having said that, I did just shave today. There is actually still quite a bit of hair on my head, but it's just been shaved down to nothing. Okay. Yes, it is invisible here. Right, okay, I'm going to keep going. The chat's going well. This is one of the problems when you're hosting a stream as opposed to being part of it. If I was just sort of in there in the chat, I'd be able to just read all this stuff, but it's moving at a pace now where I'm missing things. bold. I like being bold. Just shave it all off. I see. This is what I said. As my hair started going grey, it started falling out, and I just said to my hair, "If you can't behave, you're not going to be on my head no more." So I just shaved it off, banished it from my head. Right. Okay. So this cap here is so close to the serial number, I'm not actually going to hot air this one. I'm probably going to just try and take this off without hot air. Let's see what the state of this one is. What buttons do I press? I can't remember. It's such a long time. There we go. That's the microscope. Oop. Right. So let's get this into some focus. God, it's cloudy. Let's just give this a little bit of a wipe. Wipey, wipey, wipey. It just seems like it's very smeary. The whole microscope probably needs a clean every now and again. I need to clean the whole thing. It's a bugger of a job, and I don't enjoy doing it, so it's not something that gets done regularly. I'm just trying to make sure I've got all the focus right for you guys. You guys are the important one. You guys are the real heroes. So I've got to just get that. Yeah. All right. So I think I'm in focus with you guys now. So I want to see if I can remove this cap here without hot air station. When I do that, I mean, obviously the sensible thing would be to use solder tweezers, but as I found out the other day, you can't get solder tweezers for my soldering station. You can for the cheap one, but not for this one. You either get the really cheap Hacko station, or you get the insanely expensive one, dual channel one. If you've got the one that I've got, no, sorry, no solder tweezers for you. Wasn't happy at all. In actual fact, you can actually just buy dedicated solder tweezers. I mean, rubbish ones, but dedicated solder tweezers for quite cheap. With cleaning the board in ultrasonic bath or scrub with... no, yes. I mean, that's a very, very good question, Kai. And, you know, it depends on the state of the board that I get. If I get a board that is in a really, really bad state and is actually hindering my ability to work on it, then yes, I will sometimes clean it beforehand. But with the majority of them, because I'm going to get them absolutely baked in flux while I'm doing the recapping, I tend to just leave them as they are, and then I just clean them at the end. But it's a very good question because you know, oh god, that stinks. If you know, sort of when damage or corrosion or something like that is actually hindering my ability to work on the board, then I will clean it first. But otherwise, I end up having to clean it twice. I'd have to clean it before and then clean it after, and I don't want to do that. Ow! Hot, 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 hot. Bernie's hot. Just buy 2 irons. Well, I do have 2 irons, but you know that. So you mean like just sort of hold one in one hand and one in the other? There we go. I could do that, but as you can see, that wasn't exactly too hard. And I haven't damaged any pads. The pads are all good. Yes, happy pads. See that? See that? Who knows what that is? But oh, it's a bit of a giveaway when you actually see the screen printing on the board, isn't it? I know that Mac 84 Steve will know what that is. Happy MARCHintosh, everyone. Did I buy more wick? I did. Look, here's some wick. Here's some wick. Here's some wick. I was doing some work the other day, and I was just doing a Skype call. Sometimes, every now and again, us, the Mac Yak guys, we get together and we have a little Skype call, just, you know, 4 or 5 of us or whatever, and I was just doing work while we were doing the Skype, and I got partway through a job and ran out of solder wick, and it was already too late to go to the shop, so... Luke Davis, happy birthday for yesterday. Yeah, it does look like there's a lot of corrosion around the pins there. And just in case, just in case anyone... did anyone answer it? I can't see. It is a sound chip, by the way. This is the sound chip. It says sound there. Sound. This is the sound chip, and what's cool about this sound chip is it's the same one as it's on the Macintosh Portable. So if you have a sound chip go on, like on a pool or something, if you've got spare classic boards, which I do, because people send me boards, classic boards with battery damage all the time. And when I, if I look at them and go, no, can't be fixed, I'm afraid, or can be fixed, but it's going to cost you way more than it's worth, they just then become spares. They become parts machines for me. Donor boards, as we call them. Sony sound chip in PLCC form. So what you're saying is that's the same as the sound chip on the SE30. Is that what you're saying? I've got it up there. I can't remember the numbers on it. Hang on, I've got it in here. Hang on in here. Never even bothered to investigate that, to be quite honest. But it would make sense. And of course, the computers back then that had stereo. Oh, it's on the Macintosh 2 SI as well. There were two of them on there. So if you end up with a dead Macintosh 2 SI, which I have a couple, you get two sound chips for the price of one. Because one for the left channel, one for the right channel. Sony. Here we are. It is the 3430045. 343S0045. How about that? How about that? They've got the same code and everything. So I guess you could probably, use one on, you'd have to do a hell of a lot of creative wiring, but you could use one. On an SE30, that is. Okay, so we've got a lot of corrosion. We've got a bit of trace rot going on around here. We've got green. Green's never good. Green is the sign of corroding copper. So I'm going to have to obviously clean a lot of this stuff off and get it, coated and everything. But I don't believe we've got any breaks here. To my knowledge, this Classic still works, though I did not test it before I started working on it, which is probably something I should have done. But, let's get this other cap off, shall we? I'll just put him here as a little bit of heat protection. And then we'll just knock this little guy off the board. We'll say, you are banished. This is gonna sting. A lot of this green stuff, a lot of this corrosion that you're actually seeing on this board will come off when I ultrasonically clean it. I'll ultrasonically clean this one for quite a bit longer than I would normally because of the state of the board. Whereas I would normally go like about 10 minutes aside. I'm likely to probably go 20 minutes or even getting close to 30 minutes aside. You just got to be careful. It's a fine balance. You want to clean it thoroughly, but if you leave them in the ultrasonic too long, you will get erosion. So I've just got to find that balance. But you can see there's a lot of green going on here, and this is all basically, this is normal. This is what I would expect to see on a Macintosh Classic. There's really nothing here out of the ordinary. This little thing here, which is, what is it? It's a choke or something like that. This is this has a piece of plastic underneath it. You can't see it. I'm not in camera. It has a piece of plastic underneath it. So even though this at the top is a great big chunk of ferrite, it does actually have plastic underneath it. So I want to protect it from the heat. If I miss stuff in the chat, I do apologise. Feel free to ask again. You can always put the ampersand Brankus Creations at the beginning to catch my attention. Or I tell you what really catches my attention. Super chats always catches my attention. Yeah, if you have any questions or if you've asked a question and you haven't got it answered, don't freak out. It's not personal. It's just the chat is moving by fairly quickly at the moment. Oopsie. So just a reminder to everyone, while we're all here and chatting away, Um, Macintosh. So it is still March, so it is still Macintosh. And if anyone is thinking, what on earth is Macintosh? Well, that is our little creation. And when I say our, I mean it wasn't me. I'll take the credit for it, but it definitely wasn't me. Oh, I'm out of Captain tape. Bugger. I've only got the small stuff. Never mind. I better buy some more. I always remember when I'm down here, not when I'm in front of the computer with eBay. So Macintosh is us vintage Mac users trying to say to the world, hey, here we are, and we're proud, and we love our old Macs. We love playing with them. And it's actually one of the things that I do regret sometimes with me doing all this recapping is that so much of my spare time is spent kind of fixing these and not enough time spent just playing with them. You know, I mean, I love just having to play sometimes. I am just getting a little bit of Captain tape. It's this heat-resistant tape. You find it inside computers sometimes, especially if you ever open an old one of those early aluminium. What are they called? MacBook Pro. God, I've got them around here somewhere. No, they're all up there, all in pieces. A lot of those early sort of MacBook Pros, the early ones, the ones prior to the unibody ones, they have just got Captain tape all the way through. So this is heat-resistant tape. I'm putting it just on this plastic to give it a little extra layer of insulation, and then I shall plunk my little insulating metal thingy there, and then I'm going to take all 4 of these off in one go, because once the hot air station starts getting that board warm, it makes the next cap come off easy, and then the next one and the next one. So just taking all 4 of those off in one go, they'll come off nice and quick and easy. Right. All right, hang on. Sorry, there's all this chat going on here. Hello, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. How are you? Thank you for joining. Yeah, I am. It's terrible. This is the problem when sometimes on live streams, everything's all fine, and then other times, I get sidetracked very easily. I become like, sort of, oh wow, look at that. I'm partway through a sentence. I did that to poor Madeline one time, where I was talking about something to do with her computer, and I just got partway through the sentence, got sidetracked, and started talking about something else. And she just jumped in the chat and said, "Could you please finish the story about my computer?" Dear. Anyhow. So, we are still working on a Mac Classic here. It's taken me a long time to get started on it because I've been gas bagging. I am removing these leaky electrolytic capacitors. They stink, and they stink. And I'm just letting you know that they stink. Hey, and they sometimes pop. Come on, there's one. There's 2. She's about to blow, Captain. Can't give her any more. And if we have a look here, I'll just focus a little bit, you'll notice that there is absolutely no melted plastic at all. And that is what we want. Oh, you won't notice because you're not looking at the microscope view, because I've been looking at the top-down view, and sorry about that. So, if we have a look here at an angle, you'll see that there is absolutely no melted plastic here to speak of at all. And that's because it's all well protected with that Captain tape and the heat shield that I put up. But you can also see that it's all crusty and crunchy. Now, I haven't talked about this in a while because, microscope, focusing itself. I haven't talked about this in a while, and that is the crunchy solder joints, as I refer to them. And when these ones get all this corrosion on them, there's particularly the ones with, electrolyte leakage, the outside of the solder joint gets this tough crunchy layer on the outside. And when you heat them, the solder underneath that crunchy layer gets molten and starts pushing little solder beads through. And there is a very negative effect of that. You end up with lots and lots of little solder balls on the board, and that's why it's so important to clean these afterwards. And even in this instance here, you can see it's pushed out. See what it's done here? It's actually pushed out a little bridge between these while I was heating it. Doesn't that suck? And this is the sort of stuff you need to look out for when you're recapping. Anyone who recaps a board and then it doesn't work afterwards and they go, hey, what should I do? I mean, the answer is always check your work, because as you can see, I have then, just using that hot air station, created a solder bridge. Not good at all. So we're now going to rectify that by this lucky little component here. We're going to whip him off. We're going to clean him up and put him back on again. Off he comes. Go over there. Put him in a spot where I hopefully don't lose him. And we'll just get some flux on there. That's about a half a Rossmann of flux. Fiberglass pencil. It's great for removing crust. I haven't. I tend to use this method that I use. I have heard people talking about fiberglass pencils, and you know, I mean, far be it from me to knock any person's way of doing things, but this is definitely the way I like to do it. And what I'm just doing here is I'm using fresh solder, I'm using heat, and I'm using flux to just clean those pads off. And then I grab a little bit of solder wick here, which is, I'm trying to find the one that's open. Here we go. And then I just take that new and old solder away. I'll do the pads of the caps a little bit later, but we want to end up with these pads looking like they're new as much as possible, and shiny and all ready to take on some new solder. One of the things, you know, I've talked about this in my live streams before, and this is sort of just a general soldering guide, and that is that if you're having trouble getting solder to stick, it's usually because of either not enough heat, not enough flux, or dirty pads. And as long as you get the pads nice and clean, as long as you have enough heat, and as long as the solder hasn't oxidized, so in other words you've got some flux there, you will get nice joints there. I am definitely in the school of using plenty of flux. If you haven't seen my beginner's guide to soldering video, jump on and have a look and see the difference flux makes to soldering. It's quite amazing. So now we want to clean this little guy up as well, and I'm going to bathe him in some flux. We want to try and get as much of this crunchy stuff off. Ron, hello. Ron. It's a disgrace. I don't know how I'm ever going to forgive you for turning up so late to my live stream. It's terrible. I'm going to just stop mentioning Macintosh. I just mentioned it. Okay, I'm just bubbling that away. You can see we're getting rid of the crust and we're leaving it with a bit more of a shiny finish. There we go. And then I'll just use some wick to get hello Claire Reed. Thank you for joining. And I'll get rid of this excess solder, depending on what part of the world you're from. And we'll just see what it looks like on the other side as well. Flip. Oh, that's good. Those pads, they look really good, those pins. Even if they are a little bit out of focus for you guys, my apologies. And then I'm going to give this a really rough old going over with a toothbrush. And she'll come up looking like new. That is an outrageous claim. It won't look anything like new, but it'll look better than it does now. And here is a beautiful component I don't even know what it is. Who wants to look it up? Who wants to look up 9L05? What does that say? 9L05A. There we go. Wonder what that is. It's a thing. We're going to put the thing back on. That's pin 1, so that means it's around that way there. That's the right way around, isn't it? Anyone? Anyone? Sure, that's how it was when I'm taking it off. Little white line there indicates that that's pin 1, and that's a little dimple there, so that should be pin 1. Oh no, hang on, that's pin 1. Yeah, so that, hang on. Alright, so the little white line is just indicating that that's the dimple there. So there we go, there's pin 1. On these old classics, they have a little white dot indicating which is pin 1. Makes life a little bit easier. Alright, let's get some flux on here, shall we? There's about 1/4 of a Rossmann. And drop that on there. Oh, Justin, thank you very much. Oh, Ron, thank you. Oh, look, I have been looking at the chat, and I'm getting all these super chats, and I'm not even seeing them. So, thank you, everyone. Chat's moving a little bit fast, so. Macintosh, 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 Macintosh. I've jumped on to, just if you have a look in the description, you'll find there's a little link there to all the Macintosh content. Don't go there now because you're watching me, but later, go and have a look at some of that Macintosh content. There is so much there now. It's amazing. Okay, let's get him back into his home. It's a linear voltage regulator. Awesome. It's good to know. Certainly want it to be there. Doo-doo. There we go. He is back on the board, happy. That is a much, much happier linear voltage regulator than it was before. I promise you. No complaints from him whatsoever. So that's all the caps off. So we've basically got to go now and clean up all the pads. For anyone who's watched my videos before, it's a fairly standard procedure. Take off all the capacitors, clean up all the pads, then we put the new ones on. Cleaning the pads is a really, really important part of the job. And what will April theme be? Ooh, okay, someone who can come up with the clever way of putting something Apple into the word April. Apple April. Yeah, it's all right. Joe says E30 board hates me. In your defence, Steve, that was quite a board he sent you. Oz Retro Comp. Hello, Tone. How are you? See, the problem is that if you're going to get anything from Joe, Joe is very capable of fixing things himself. So if he's having trouble with it, you know you're getting a nightmare. You know you're not going to get the dream easy job. There's no way that's going to happen. So I know that with some of my customers. I know that I've had jobs sent to me by customers that do their own recapping, and they go, "I'm having trouble with this one. Can you look at it?" And it's like, you're about to send me real garbage, aren't you? So we've got some flux, we've got some fresh solder, we've got some heat, and we want to make sure that when we finish, all of the full size, the full width of the pad is ready to take on new solder. So it needs to, we don't want any of those little black bits. We don't want bits. We don't want little crunchy bits. We want it to just look nice, smooth, shiny, ready for solder. That's how these are looking now. Some of these are harder than others. The really, really old ones, you know, like if I'm looking at, say, I don't know, a 2CI or something like that, they're generally the worst. An SE30, they can get really, really bad. See, this one here is as bad as it looked. It's actually cleaning up really easily. I'll just get a little bit of solder onto there as well, where I've exposed some copper. Flux. Just got to make sure I was still making contact with that pin. I think I probably took a bit of solder away. There we go. It's fine. It's fine. See you, Kai. Thank you for joining. I will be sure to check out all that stuff. Oh, wow. I've got 57 people watching at the moment. Hello. For anyone here who hasn't said hello, please feel free to jump on and say hello. If I don't say hello back, it's not because they don't like you. It's just because they probably missed the comment. I'll tell you, this is really making me want to just sort of play around with vintage Macs today. I won't get to because I've got so many to repair. Another little tip for anyone here, if they're ever washing a board, giving it a good clean and they decide to dry it out in the oven, don't use temperature too high with these boards because you see these switches, the little restart buttons on the side, they melt at quite a low temperature. I won't tell you how I know that, but they do. Okay. More cleaning. MacMan142, hello. Only 27 likes. People need to smash that like button. Smash. Smash. I think that's about as low as I can go, sorry. Smash. Yeah, that's as low as I can go, sorry. I'm just going to start sending Kai lists of things that I want him to reverse engineer. Alex. Am I recapping the analog board on this stream too? No, he didn't send me one. I do actually have an analog board which is giving me grief over here. I might even try and fix that afterwards because I've got a pretty good idea what's wrong with it. It almost works. It works if you apply a decent amount of pressure to the board from a particular angle. I'm not sure that's good enough to actually hand it back to the customer and say, hey, just press here. But I think if I just douse it with a bit of flux and hit a particular location with a bit of hot air to melt the solder and maybe add a little bit of extra solder. I mean, I've already gone in and fixed a lot of cracked solder joints, but there's clearly one there that I haven't found yet. And of course, I hate working with those boards when you have an ongoing problem, because every single time you've got to connect them up again and you've got to wire up the ground cable, you've got to put in the flyback, the little cap for the flyback transformer and connect the yoke connector and connect the sound and connect the power, and it's like, off and on and off and on. It's a real pain. And then of course you want to discharge it every time you remove it so you don't, die. So they're just a pain for that sort of continuing work. When you just sort of recap them and they're working beautifully and you go, hey, that's great, I'll put that aside. I haven't got my fume extractor on. Thanks for everyone for telling me. God, these fumes are a bit smelly today. Okay, there we go. Flash drying boards with that's a good idea. I tend to just use the oven. I mean, I've got an air compressor down here, and it is not super quiet. It's massive, but it does a good job. I don't even know what that is that you're referring to, Ron. Where are we? Yes, that's right. Jay normally reminds me. He was here. But Jay's very good at just popping on at the beginning and saying hello and then disappearing and doing his own thing. I know he's fiddling with this 3D printer at the moment, so... So when working with the old Classic and when it comes time to put these new caps on, one of the areas that I always tell people to be careful of, I'm just going to clean this up and show. If you're replacing electrolytic capacitors with tantalums, now electrolytic capacitor, which we'll look at the underside here, you can see it has these, a little bit of fluff on my tweezers here, you can see it has these little thin pins, come on, thank you, it has these little thin pins, which obviously sit on top of these pads. If we replace that with a tantalum, which, oh, where are my tanks? Didn't I put them away? What? Where are they? There's no label. I've got a label on them, so maybe I didn't put them away. They can't be too far away. I had them this morning. Here we are. Here they are. So, let's not drop that. It's happened before, and that makes me very unhappy. So, when we have a Jay is always, yeah. I do know that Jay has a tendency to do things. So, if you have a look at the pin on the tantalum, you can see it's very wide, hangs over the side of the original pin, whereas these ones sit wholly within the pin. And so you need to be very careful when you're recapping with the tantalums to make sure that that overhang on the pin doesn't end up touching something it shouldn't. So, for example, if you have a look here, you can see there's a trace running right next to this pad. Like that. Now, this has got solder mask on it, but if during this cleaning process or whatever that mask came off, and then we go to put this cap down, we solder him on, and the overhang of that pin ends up touching a little bit of exposed copper from that there, you end up creating a short on the board and it's not going to work. And that is one of the most common problems on recapping the Classic and the Classic 2 board. The Classic 2 in particular has a couple that are really bad, and the Classic 2 UV coating comes off really easily as well, way easier than the Mac Classic 1. So that's something that I just always tell people to be careful of, because that's probably the most common failure point if you're going in and recapping your own board. You know, when you're putting tants on, you do that little, you know, you scrape that coating off, and the next thing you know, you're creating a short on there. So always look out for that. Don't look out for it after you've recapped. Look out for it before. Just make sure that you don't have any exposed copper that's going to end up touching the overhang of the tantalum pin. And if you do see any of that exposed copper, you need to paint it over with some UV solder mask before you put the cap down. This one is in such good condition, I'm not going to need to do any of that, I don't think. But yeah. Okay, here we are. Okay, let's go. Oh boy. Okay. Chat's going fast. I'm missing things. What am I supposed to remind? Oh yes, sorry, you were supposed to remind me to turn on my fume extractor, which is I literally just switched on a moment ago. Because I'm stupid. Okay. Yes, you could, but overcoat before recapping. But you know, I just with this, I would just generally say to people, just be aware of it, just be conscious of it, because it doesn't happen that often. But it's just one of the points that I say to check for. Remind me to start a new print. I know the idle printer is terrible, isn't it? I should have started one of these little. I've got this pegboard behind me, and I'm printing lots of these little containers and things for putting things in, and they're already, I mean, the moment I put a container up there, it's full of something, so I just need to put more of them, and trays and things. I've got things here, but I don't know, they get lost, and I need more storage down here. Jeff Bernard, hello. All right, so let's start sticking some new caps on this because I have been going and going. One great thing about the Macintosh Classic is that there aren't that many electrolytic caps on it. If you compare it to, say, for example, the Classic 2, where it has like 13 or something on it, depending on which revision of the board you're using, this one is not too bad. So, Classic, make me happy. That's a Classic tier. So there's the revision A and the revision B. The revision A has 13 caps. The revision B has 17 caps. So the revision B Classic 2 board is the one that has 2 ROM chips, not 4. Yeah, it's not my favourite one to recap. I'll just say that straight off the bat. There's a bird or something up on the roof. I can hear it. Yeah, here's a Classic. I went straight past it. Recapping guide. Recap a Mac. You'll find recapping guides on Recap a Mac. And you will find a recapping guide for this one. And yeah, this is my own. The photo is actually of my own Classic board. How about that? Right, so we have got one microfarad 50 volt, and all the rest are 4716. So that's nice and easy. Let's just stick the one on first. Come on, let's go. Now I buy a particular size of capacitor which only just fits onto these pads. And I apologise if anyone has bought ones that I recommended and they go, these don't fit. Well, they do, but only just. Just checking chat. I have been so slack getting my little creations up onto Thingiverse. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about with Thingiverse, it's a kind of a repository of 3D files, or called STL files, for people who create things as a 3D object that you can then print on your 3D printer. And I've been going nuts making my own stuff, and I haven't put any of them up on Thingiverse at this stage. And I will. I've got a plus sign screen printed on the board. We've got a stripe. Tantalums, the stripe is on the positive side. Electrolytics, the stripe is on the negative side. That's just because some silly electronics geek decided to confuse us all. It wasn't me. Don't blame me. And so I've just got one side soldered there, and then we'll just do the other side. And there's one little happy cap in place. He's 105 on the top of the cap there. You can see 105. That means 10 followed by 5 zeros. So that is 1 million. 1 million. And it's 1 million, I think it's picofarads or something like that, which works out at 1 microfarad. So there you go. When is the Berg power connector on the SCSI to SD needed if it gets powered off the SCSI bus on most Macs? Often not needed at all. Some of the Macs, particularly some of the really old ones, don't output enough power. But more importantly, if you were going to put it in an external case, you generally need to power it there. So let's just say you had an external SCSI case and you put the SCSI to SD in it, and you generally won't get enough power from the SCSI connection, in particular with the long SCSI cable and everything, and then you would connect it up to the Berg connector there. So I've never been particularly happy with the fact that they replaced the Molex with a Berg, B-E-R-G. Never been particularly happy with that, but it wasn't my decision, so can't blame me. I know that the aim was to try and make them sort of smaller, so the Molex connector is very big. But yeah, for most of the computers, I mean seriously, virtually every computer I have a SCSI to SD in, it just gets the power from the SCSI bus, so you don't need to plug the Berg in at all. But yeah, again, it just depends on what you're doing with it. Okay, here's our first 47 microfarad 16 volt capacitor going down. This is a Kemet brand capacitor. They are well known for high quality capacitors. Ouch, I just stabbed myself with my tweezers. means it's going to be a good day. $1 million. Sorry. You're not fully evil. You're semi-evil. Quasi-evil. Long time since I've seen that movie. First one was good. I enjoyed the first one. No doubt about that. So we're now just doing 47 microfarad, 16 volt. That's all of them. We will be testing this one afterwards, so anyone who's thinking, oh, I want to see this one going, you will. You'll get to see all of the fun and glory of a Macintosh Classic running. Let's face it, these are the moments we treasure. And then we might have a look at the analog board. Now I'll be fine. I don't think I actually got tetanus from that stabbing. I'm doing all this stuff off camera. I will mention it again. I do mention it in my live streams, but I have a much larger field of view in the microscope than what gets captured by the camera, because I'm looking at a big circle, but what gets captured by the camera is a rectangle out of the middle of that circle. And so I'm just happily looking at things, and I look up and I realise you can't see what I'm doing, and it's very embarrassing. Whenever I'm doing these, I put a nice big glob of wick onto the... Get out of the way. I put it... Oh, I hope that didn't make the microphone go all crackly. So let me just check. Oh, I think we're good. Oh yes, don't forget to visit Apple's serial number info and vote Xserve in the poll. I forgot about the poll. What's on there? What's on the poll? Can someone tell me? What are the four, is it 3, 4, 4, 3, 4? What are the 4 models in there we have this month on Apple serial number? Jay? Okay. Oh yay, we've got a gigabit Ethernet card for the Sawtooth. So, does that mean you're going to live stream, Dana? Or at least we're going to Skype or something like that? We have this kind of thing with the Mac-Yak group. Anyone who's not watched Mac-Yak, please jump on. It's on Thursday nights Eastern time. It's Friday morning or Friday lunchtime in my country. And we just get together and we talk about everything Mac. Yak about Mac. We are not just a group of people that blindly reward Apple for every single horrible thing they do. We do talk about the fact that we talk about what we like, we talk about what we don't like, we talk about the culture, we talk about the brand, we talk about the technology. We provide tips and tricks. So if you are a Mac person, I would recommend watching it. And we do, of course, always try and make each other laugh, which does make the show fun at times. There we go, 4 caps in a row. So, what have we got? We've got the Apple I, eMac, G5, and Xserve. It's the later G5 too, isn't it? It's not like the early one. Is it one of the liquid-cooled G5s? I don't like the liquid-cooled G5s. I'm not a fan. The Apple I, you know, you feel compelled to vote for that because it's the Apple I. It's the history. What's winning at the moment? And as much as Jay loves his Xserves, they are a rather flawed machine. On too late for you to watch, yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. There's that whole time zone thing going on. For me, it's quite a good time. It's a good time given the fact that I'm self-employed. I can be flexible with the hours that I work, but it is right in the middle of the workday for me. Xserve was winning until just now. Now the Apple I is in the lead. Oh, these crazy vintage people. Go, vintage people, go. Vote for the Apple I. Come on. I'm probably going to do one side at a time of each of these caps, and then I'll come back and do the other side, from the other side, from the other side, on the other side. I like to try and get these all lined up when I do them, because if not, they kind of stick out. When you look at the board and you go, oh, there's a crooked one. And I don't like that. I want people to be able to look at it and see them all lined up like little soldiers. Like to make it very accurate. Oopsie. Let's come. Oh, sorry guys, the chat is just barreling by at the moment. I'm having trouble keeping up. I've actually got an X-Serve. It's not here yet, but my old employer from many years ago, he's retiring an X-Serve. And I said, oh, can I have it? He said, yeah, sure. So I've just got to go over there and pick it up sometime. I think it's an Intel one. Pretty sure it's an Intel one. And a RAID as well. So I'm going to be coming home with a RAID. I'm not sure where it's going to go. It'll probably have to go straight into my storage unit because they're huge. All right, that is the last joint. Sounding like a jet taking off shouldn't be a sales pitch. Just saying, when it comes to the X-Serve. All right, so what we have here now is... Right, yeah, there we go. We have a recapped board. One of the things that I always do with these when I finish recapping is just do a little quick check of the work that I've done. And I do that by giving the caps a little bit of a nudge to make sure that they're properly secured on both sides. So every now and again I will solder one side, and then because of the position of the board, I think I'll solder the other side. I'll spin it around and solder the other side, and then I forget. So I always like to make sure they're all secured down. We want to make sure that the stripe is pointed to positive for all of these. So there's positive, 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 positive. And we want to make sure we've got the right caps in the right place. Well, I know that there's only one little one here, that's a 1 microfarad 50 volt, and all the rest are 47 microfarads. So 47, 47, 476, 476 is the code for 47 microfarad. And there we have it. So that is one recapped classic board. Steve was mentioning the Classic recently. Anyone who hasn't actually watched the video, Mac 84, he went and bought himself a ROM programmer and reprogrammed. He bought himself some blank ROMs and actually programmed a new ROM chip. So he got hold of a Classic that I think he recapped, or I'm not sure if he had to recap it, but he certainly had to do some work on it. And it was giving checkerboard, I think. And it turned out the ROM was shot. The ROM was accidentally killed because the ROM sits in a socket that is too big for it. It's like one row too long. And if you happen to put this ROM chip in one row to the left, it's bad. And if you leave it that way for too long, you'll kill it. And that's exactly what happened to it. The ROM chip got killed. And so Steve got his own Classic, and he got a little ROM reader thing, and he read all of the data out of the ROM. Then he got a blank chip, and he wrote it all back to the blank chip, and got the computer working again, which is fantastic. I'm going to actually follow his example and go and get myself one of those little programmers, because I think it's just awesome to be able to do that. It did need some recapping and trace surgery as well, so there you go. Yep. But he got to go, and isn't that fantastic? So yeah, I mean, as I say, I haven't even done that. I mean, and I don't mean that comes off sounding very arrogant, but what I mean by that is that I was recapping a long time before. Well, I shouldn't say I was recapping before Steve was. I was making recapping videos, I think, perhaps before Steve was. But now, Steve's, leading the way. He's technologically leading the way. I'm an old, you know, I'm turning into a fossil. I've got to start doing some interesting things. Right. I did blow up a capacitor recently, but unfortunately I didn't do that on a live stream, so no one got to see it, apart from the photos. Right. Classic. Time for testing. Now, I don't have the camera over here working because I've got the camera over here working. I need to get another of these connectors so that I can have both running at the same time, but for the moment we're going to have to just get a little bit creative with the cameras. Now, here is the Classic we are going to test with. I am going to have to take this analog board off though, because this particular analog board is stuffed. For now, it'll be fixed, but for now it's stuffed. Let's get a screwdriver. And we'll remove this analog board. Fossil creations. Master Jedi Bruce, he makes me laugh, sir. You are too kind, sir. I've got a little plastic bag here. Here it is, with the bits for this. Bits. So I did do a live stream of recapping this analog board, and it's still giving me some grief. And I do intend to fix it today, but one of the things I tend to do in my live streams, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, but I tend to live stream as much as possible things that are going to maintain a bit of pace. You know, I'm doing something interesting, something with a very set sort of a set series of instructions, or you know, a very set number of steps that I do. When I've got a problem board like this, where I could just be literally tinkering with it for hours, you know, pushing and prodding and replacing components and testing and you know, using the multimeter and stuff like that, I tend not to live stream those. I just worry that they're just going to get too tedious. So this is why this board here, this analog board, I will probably just work on by myself later on, into quiet. There we go. So there's the analog board, which has been recapped. You can see these lovely blue and gold Panasonic caps, low ASR, very high quality, good caps, very special. And that's what I generally use for recapping. I use these good quality Panasonic caps. Then we are going to replace that with a good analog board, or certainly close approximation of one. Sorry about the wind noise on the microphone. Is this the good one? Oh God, this one doesn't look too good. Maybe it's a good one. I guess the best thing to do would be work out where the bad one is. So I've got a bad one. Is that it? Okay. This is the bad one. Okay. So now we have to just find the good one. Is this the good one? This one doesn't look too crash on either. Really should have taken better attention, shouldn't I? This might work. And it doesn't seem to have any missing components on it. Oh, hang on. Oh, this is the good one. You know how I know it's a good one? Because I replaced the speaker on mine. So this is not the original speaker. So yeah, this is the good one, even though it doesn't look good because it's dirty. Really should have cleaned this, shouldn't I? Anyhow. We having fun yet? Alright, so let's try and get this moving along. Oh, I'm not going to connect it up yet. I haven't put the board in. It's just stupid. Right. I'll be honest, I don't even know if this board works. We need power to the hard drive. Click. We need a speaker so we can hear if it goes bing. And we're going to put that in there. Slidey, slidey. There we go. We've got to connect up the yoke. here. And we've got a little, what do they call, anode cap. That's the word. Anode cap. Came to me eventually. And then we've got a little grounding cable here. Now, despite what some people might say, like, you know, Joe from House of Moth, it is actually a good idea to connect these grounding cables up when you're working with CRTs. Draft of my vintage Apple Mac pricing guide online. So for anyone out there who is not aware of this, Steve from Mac84 has been spending a lot of his time trying to create a price guide for vintage Macs. He's been working on it for a very long time, and it's not just a wish list. It's not just Steve saying this is how much I want to pay for these things. It is one where he has done a lot of research based on real sale prices, how much things are actually going for in varying states, you know, various conditions. You know, whether it be one that's in a really bad state, or whether it's one with missing things, or whether it's fully complete, or whether it's like in the box, you know, that sort of stuff. And it's a very good place to visit, because there are a lot of people that jump onto eBay and they list something for sale at an obscenely high price. And someone jumps onto eBay and says, oh, okay, I've got a Macintosh Classic here, I wonder what it's worth. They jump onto eBay and they see one there for sale for $500, and they go, oh, okay, so Classics are going for $500. It's like, no, they're not. Someone is asking $500, but they're not necessarily selling it for $500. And so the purpose of the price guide is to give people a realistic idea of what they should be, you know, paying for things. And so jump on and check that out. It's very good. And did anyone see where I put the screw? I mean, I've only been here. Oh, hang on. Did I put it in the plastic bag? I did put it in the plastic bag. I'm too organised for my own good. I'm starting to get cold now. I have got this air conditioner on to try and dry things out in here, but now it's making me cold. Because it's not a particularly warm day here in Sydney. Was yesterday, stinky yesterday, humid and hot. But today, much, much cooler. Cold change came through last night. All right, so let's put him down on his face. He had it coming. Okay, this has got to come out. This is the little RAM riser board thingy. That's got to come out if you want to take the logic board out. Oh, and the SCSI connector. That needs to come out. There's probably a floppy connector here as well. Yep, there is. Floppy connector. And then out comes a pretty little logic board. So this is the one that I've done before. I went in and I replaced the battery holder with a CR2032. Generally don't do that much anymore. But there's my classic board. I know this one works. This is the one I have just recapped. That's it here. This is not one of the computers that needs a battery in it to work, okay? So if you've got one and it's not working and you go, oh, why isn't it working? You jump onto a forum and someone says, oh, have you got a new PRAM battery in it? It works without a PRAM battery, okay? So if it's not working, that's not your problem. So 1 megabyte of RAM on board. So if you bought the base model of this, you would get 1 megabyte of RAM. There. Then you have this little card here, which plugs in, which gives you another 1 megabytes on the card. Then 2 slots here that allow you to put another 1 each. So you're allowed, so you can get a total of 4 megabytes. Doesn't matter what RAM sims you put in here, you're only going to get 4 megabytes. So maximum amount of RAM this one will take. I can smell bacon. I'm hungry. Something smells good. Yum. Right. Right. So I don't have any tips for cleaning electrolyte residue off the board if you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner. But a couple of things you can do. You can get things like this. Flux remover. That works quite well. Just you need to sort of wash it there and then kind of rinse it off. Other people have mentioned like isopropyl alcohol. You can rub it on there. You've got to just do a little bit of scraping with a toothbrush. Just be very careful and then just make sure it's dry before you use it. because I do appreciate not everyone has ultrasonic cleaners. They are a little bit of a, you know, sort of an expensive option if you're only working on 1 or 2 boards. And can I say, if you do get that 2SI board all working with the new caps and everything, bravo to you. It is, if there is one more working 2SI in the world, I am a happy person, because it is one of my favourite computers. I just love the form factor of the 2SI. I've got 2 empty 2SI cases up here, so if anyone ever needs a 2SI case, let me know. Connecting them up. Connecting the SCSI, because I would ideally like to boot this into a working operating system. So this is the analog board, which I believe is all fine, but you know, anything can happen. I will do a little bit of camera changing. Yeah, and if I point this downwards, we might be able to get to see this screen a little bit. And you can see my saw, my drop saw down here, my AEG saw. This is lots and lots of voltage, dangerous, deadly voltage exposed here. So being super careful, because I do not want to electrocute myself. Let's just double check that everything is connected that is meant to be connected. That's good. And then we get ready to test this out. I've connected up a keyboard and a mouse to it. I'm now going to hit it with 240 volts, because that's what we use here. Are you wearing a Mopar t-shirt? I am. I've got a Mopar, where is it here? Mopar logo there. And then on the back, I have my car club, the Regal's Mopar Car Club. I don't know if you can read that, but yes, that's the car club I'm in. Okay, so, ever work on a G3 iMac, my DB boots? Retro Techie, no is the answer to that. I pretty much stop at beige. I don't generally work on the colourful ones. Okay, AEG makes saws. Yes, they do. They're actually owned by Atlas Copco, who also make Milwaukee. And they make drills and saws and you name it. I've got a sander. I've got a circular saw. I've got a drill. I've got an impact driver. I've got a blower, as in like a garden blower, leaf blower. I've got the saw here. I've got lots of AEG stuff, heaps of it. I do like the brand. Okay, we're ready. Steady. It didn't chime. Made a popping noise. I'm going to just test the voltage on this, because once again, I'm not even entirely sure that this analog board's good anymore. So the way I'm going to test the voltage for this thing here is using the floppy drive connector. I will put the negative on negative of the board here, and then I will, there we go. We got capacitor problems. And I will just check here. At least we know it's the analog board and not the logic board. And I'll put the connector here. I'm getting a nice juicy, I'm getting 4.6 volts coming off that at the moment, which is not enough. Yeah, so my guess is if I leave this long enough, it'll actually start working, because it's just going to warm up. And the good thing about that is we know that it's not the logic board. We know it's the analog board. We know it's this guy. It's this guy. This guy. Oh, where's the restart button? Yeah. Oops. Wrong one. I do vaguely remember that one of my analog boards has this trait where it sort of, it takes a little while to warm up. But I mean, seriously, if you could see the side of this thing, it is just in, it's so disgusting. I need to, definitely need to spend a little bit of TLC on this one here. Okay, so it's not booting the hard drive. Now, I'm not sure why. I'm just going to disconnect it and reconnect it. See if it's spinning up. The hard drive doesn't actually sound like it's spinning up. God, that fan connector's not connected. So the fan's not blowing. See how it's restarting itself? It's cool, eh? Alright, I'm going to get SCSI to SD and fire it up off that. So bear with me while I just shoot away. And I will just switch my microphone off, and you can just look at this lovely screen while I'm gone and see if it restarts like 2 or 3 times while I'm gone. So, ooh, this is system 7.5 at the moment. So let's just see what happens with this. I think 7.5 is a little bit of an overkill for Classic, but it will run. Blinkety blink. It's blinkety blinking. Happy Mac! Yay! This hard drive that's in here is a 1 gigabyte Seagate Hawk. You know, it's old. It does work from time to time. Clearly not working today, but okay. Well, thankfully, nothing did self-destruct. Oh, okay. It's doing its little restarty thing. So it's restarting over and over again. Well, this may actually seem like, my goodness, what a dismal failure. But in actual fact, knowing what I know about this analog board, this is actually quite good. This is fine. It's actually, the logic board is working fine. It's just basically the analog board is it's just restarting constantly over and over again. That can be a sign of low voltage. What do we got here? Let's see what it's reading now. Whoops, sorry, power supply. Yeah, see, we're still low. We're still low on volts here. So yeah, and we're still not up to voltage on this one. So it's the analog board not spitting out enough. Boot it from the built-in ROM. Oh yeah! Love doing that. What is it again? What have I got to press? Option, command, something, something. Option, command, option, OX. Just keep going and going. Do you reckon I should play with the pot? Not play with some pot, I'll play with the pot. Play with the little trim pot. It adjusts the voltage that's inside here, right in the guts of this thing. I need a really long screwdriver for that. I better get OR. OR. Yeah. Nope. Yep. Nope. Nope. Yep. Nope. Okay, so I am going to go get my little, I've got to get, I'll have to go back to the house. We'll be back in a sec. So I'm just going to do this back soon thing. So this is the toolkit that I have inside the house, and it has a very, very long handle like this. Now, this is actually 3D printed. The original handle was like this, and I had problems with it, so I 3D printed a slightly longer one and slightly thicker. And I can just put in little flat-headed screwdriver bit like that, and it's nice and long. Now what I'm about to do here is actually really, really dangerous, and I don't recommend anyone do it. But I'm going to sort of put my hand through here, and I'm going to adjust the little trim pot which sets the voltage on this thing. Now in order for me to do this, I kind of need to know what the voltage is. So I'm going to put this there, hold it in place with my fat belly, and then gently feed this through here under all this frightening high voltage, and point this carefully at this little trim pot, which I can't see because it's dark. How about I put some light here? Oh wow, that helps. So do not attempt this at home, friends. Not even to impress the ladies. Right, here we go. Alright, we're sitting on about 5 volts now. And we are still in a good old reboot loop. Reboot loop. I don't know the 911 number. It's 000. So should you ever be out here and need to call emergency service, 000 is the number you need to call. We're watching intently to see whether this stays good. Oh, so close. I'm actually starting to wonder whether it may actually not be. I think it might just it might be this SCSI 2SD that's doing this. So I'm going to just try something here. Is that, Francois, is that an IT crowd reference? Command Option OX, your original... Oh, I rumba. What just happened? We will boot from the ROM because we all get a buzz from that, don't we? We seem to just be sitting at this stage, don't we? Lights out, nobody home. But as I say, I think there's more system-based than it is. I wish I could get this hard drive to work. I'm going to switch him off and see if I can get this hard drive to work. And we will, of course, do the XO thing. Get in there. Come on, you hard drive, you. I mean, the hard drive just seems totally dead. Oh, it's spinning up. It's spinning up. Listening to the dulcet tones of a hard drive spinning up. Look at that. Check it. Check it. Now that's what we like to see. Look at that. I mean, I know it's all flickery and it's too bright and everyone's upset, but it looks like it's meant to look. So let's go in and we'll do the lovely little fun trick that we can do with the old Macintosh Classic that you couldn't do with the earlier Macs. And we'll go here to brightness. And oh, look at it, just jumped down, so that's good. It's better to have it dark like that. Easier for you guys to see, I imagine. Let's have a look here at about this Mac. And we should see... we've got 4 megabytes of RAM. We're running System 701. If anyone out there has a Macintosh Classic and they're wondering what system to run on it, and people do ask me that question all the bloody time, what system should I run on this? Well, the Macintosh Classic, I reckon 701 is the way to go. I reckon it gives you that good balance of System 7 feature set without, you know, sort of the bulkiness of the operating system. I mean, if you have a look here, this is using... System 701 is using 1 megabyte there, giving us 3 megabytes left to play around with. Let's see if we have anything on this computer of value. Look at this microphone stealing the limelight. Oh no, oh no. If I touch this mic it makes noises, I forgot about that. It goes crackle crackle, doesn't it? Is it the same as the Classic 2? When you, is what the same? There are similarities with the Classic 2, but there are also many, many differences. The Classic 2 has the ability to... Oh, are you talking about which system to use on the Classic 2? I would probably run with System 7.1 on a Classic 2. That's me. A lot of people, they want the features of System 7.5 and they opt for 7.5 on the Classic 2. But for me, I would much prefer to go with System 7.1. There's not much on this, is there? Speedometer. Is that it? Is that it? Yeah. Oh, boring. All right. Well, let's just, for the sake of a bit of fun, let's just boot this into the ROMs because I said I would, so I will. Somehow feel like I'm not actually booting from the ROM here. That seemed way too slow. I think I just booted from the hard drive again. Yeah, I did just boot from the hard drive again. Well, the keys didn't work, so I don't know. I was doing it, Option Command XO, and it didn't do it. Was that right? Option Command XO? It didn't work. Got a warped one. Why do I always get a warped one? What's in the trash? I can't see. Is it recovered items or something? I can't read that, sorry. Speedometer 4. It's clearly me trying speedometer and realising 4 doesn't work on this old thing. Try again. It may have happened too late after rebooting. Tell you what I do. How about this? I'm going to switch it off. Shut down. Option Command XO, you say. How about this? I'll unplug the hard drive. Did I say shut down? Didn't I tell you to... Ah, thank you. Delayed reaction, Mac. Okay, I'm unplugging the hard drive, so there will be no hard drive involved. Keyboard's down here, which is why I'm hunched over like this. I'm holding it. Option Command XO. I feel like I'm about to get a flashing question mark. No, it's not doing it. It's not doing it. Why? Why? How come why? No. No. I don't know. Maybe it's a problem with the keyboard or something. I don't know. Maybe the X key doesn't work. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So, where were we? Recapped classic board. So, yay. The next step will be I will clean that board because it was dirty. And then that will be pretty much ready to go. Now, what I might just have a quick look at before we wrap things up is a Macintosh LC475 board that I did in a live stream before. And the problem I had with it, oh, by the way, this is an analog board that I need to fix. This is one I did recap on a live stream before and mostly works. But somewhere in this vicinity, let me have somewhere around here is a cracked solder joint. Somewhere around here. Because when I push it down here, it works. And so that's creating sort of bending around here. So somewhere around here is a cracked solder joint. So what I'm probably going to do is just get some flux and smother it on here. Just get the hot air station and just try and melt all these joints because, you know, yeah, still giving me grief. Could be down here. I don't know. Anyhow, we're close. We're very close on this one. It runs really well. It's in terms of it's outputting a lovely smooth voltage. It's just, the computer starts fine. It's just affecting the display. Yeah, okay, all right. So, so LC475, let me just bring up my job ticketing system and make sure I grab the right LC475. With this particular one, the problem I'm having is I believe it chimes, but it does not boot. No video, no boot. Let's have a look here. 475. And that is this one here, and that's that one there. Let's just get the serial number so that I grab the right, because the board's just over my shoulder here. Okay, let's find the board. Let's find the board. Nope. Nope. This is it. This is it. I believe. Let me just double check the serial number. Yep, this is the one. So, what we're going to do is we're going to connect up a display. I'm just going to use my little silly display for now rather than going to the screen capture because... What on earth is that? I just want to... I'm not even sure if that's the right... What are we on here? One, two... Oh, that'll do. That mode should work. Okay, so I'm going to use this. Got my little... So I'm going to put that, that's for my display there, going to get that there, plug that in there. That will make the picture come out on this little tiny little screen here. Then we're going to get, there's our little display, we're going to get a power supply, 475. I'm going to plug this on here. Going to get a screen, a speaker, just floating around here somewhere. Speakery deakery. I'm going to put a PRAM battery in it because apparently this is one of the computers that won't work properly unless it has a PRAM battery installed. And we'll just remind ourselves quickly here what the problem we were having is, because it is a while since I worked on this one. And as I've mentioned before, when I get really overloaded with recapping work, the problem ones just get put to one side. They're all logged, they're all in this system, they're all stored, everything's fine, but they just tend to get pushed to one side. So this has been recapped. Happy with that. And after recapping, it was doing exactly the same thing as it was doing before recapping. So essentially that tells us the problem wasn't the caps. The board's being cleaned in the ultrasonic. And let's just switch them on and see what happens. Got a nice little farty sound coming from the speaker, followed by a chime, very quiet chime. You wouldn't have heard it, I don't imagine, but you know, yeah, the speaker's good, isn't it? You like it? It's I think it was originally out of a VI, 2VI maybe, or it might even be a 2CI actually. I've got one of those that's in an absolute mess. And this is pretty much where we get to. We get a chime and we get a black screen. We don't get anything. If I connect a hard drive to it, it doesn't boot. There's no hard drive activity. It's not actually starting. So it isn't actually doing its starty type thing. We did try and put in a different CPU just to see if that was it, and it's not it. And interestingly enough, this is a problem that I do encounter with color classics from time to time. And I still don't know exactly what the problem is. I wish I did, but I don't. I can do a little bit of good old-fashioned, just, you know, hit it and hope, you know, just try something and see if it fixes it, with absolutely no scientific purpose behind the actions I take, no testing, just say, hey, look at that component there. I think that might be it. Let's replace it and see what happens. The thing I like about that sort of diagnostic work is, number one, it's very rewarding when it works, because it's like, wow, what were the odds? And the other is that I don't have to think at all. But what I probably should be doing with this is kind of getting out the multimeter and the oscilloscope and actually going in and properly diagnosing where the problem is. But geez, that sounds like a lot of hard work. So anyhow, I'm not sure I'm going to do anything with this one for now, because it's farting. Try removing RAM, but it's good RAM. It's known good RAM, but I will try removing it. RAM's out. Farting again. Now it's farting and doing nothing but farting. You know? How cool is that? I'm going to bring the microphone a little bit, the speaker a little bit closer. I'll put the RAM back in. A little bit closer. There we go. And then when I switch it off, it's like slowing down. So, a couple of things that we do know about this is power supply is fine. This power supply, I've got two power supplies here. Both of them have been tested and work on another LC475 without any issue at all. So we know it's not the power supply. So yeah, as I say, I'm going to have to go in and do some diagnostic work with this, but I'm not going to do it here on camera because that's just so, well, it's boring to watch, and it does my head in trying to actually live stream and think at the same time. So that is a job for later today. I guess we could probably wrap things up now. I'm thinking. Let me just have a quick look. Which mouse? Oh, actually, there is one thing I do need to do. I need to check and see whether I recap this power supply. If I didn't, I might do that. Still got 50 people hanging around, so hello. I'll try and do something interesting. Let's grab. What? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's grab this power supply here, open it up and see if it's been recapped, because if it isn't, it needs recapping. Got a nice big bend here. I don't know what's going on there. I don't think it has been recapped, because if it had, I would remove that bend. So, I do have a recapping guide for this on my website, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this one's been, so just a quick little explanation about that one there if you missed it. That farting noise that's coming from the computer, well, sorry, it's not the farting noise, but the fact that the behavior it is showing is behavior it showed before being recapped. And that was ultimately that it will chime, it often does chime when you switch it on, and then, but it doesn't do anything else. So, all right, so let's pull this guy apart and we'll get rid of this bend. Look at this bend. Can you see the bend? Bend. Get some pliers here. I probably need some bigger pliers than this, but it's not meant to be bent like that. I don't like it. Don't like it. Yeah, I need some better pliers for that. Bigger pliers. They're over there. This is this great little piece of black plastic you get on these. It's one of my favourites. Got some lovely heat sinky, was it thermal paste there? Get all over my fingers, awesome. Hey, you know what? I maybe have recapped this, because this looks like my thermal paste. Maybe not though, I think they're all, no, these are all the original caps. So, out she comes. I said, out she comes. There we go. Out she comes. These little leads, these wires here, we've got the brown and the blue, which is the live and neutral. I undo them so that I can take the board off the case. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to get my solar sucker, sometimes referred to as the Bruceinator, but not by me. 4 more hours to go. Just want to get rid of this thermal paste because I'm going to get it all over my fingers, and then I'll get upset. Right. Typically these 475, power supplies do need recapping. Now that's not to say that everyone is going to just, be unhappy. See, as I've said in some of my videos before, if you're dealing with, say, a Macintosh Classic or an SE30 or something like that, yeah, get it recapped. You're going to need to get it recapped. With a 475, I would say, yes, it's not a bad idea to get it recapped, but it's not a 100% guarantee that it's going to be stuffed. Little spider crawl up the desk. Where? Towards the microscope. Where? Kill it! Kill it! Yeah, no, I do get a few little spiders down here. We'll live. I am in an outdoor workshop here, so I do share it a little with nature, which is fine by me. Here it is. One ugly power supply. Looking ugly in all its ugliness. We're going to replace all of these caps here. Oh geez, it still says, oops, 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 where did it go? I just lost my text. I just knocked it off the screen. Where's it gone? How do I zoom out? Oh, I've lost my text. Help. 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 Okay, the text is gone. So I'm going to change that. So just imagine that text now says recapping an LC475. How do I zoom out? GT, how do I zoom out? Hello, GT. How do I zoom out? I dragged it off the screen. Oh well. Doesn't matter, we can live without it. Okay, need my goggles. What are you trying to zoom? Well, basically, the area that I have here, the area that I am broadcasting, I accidentally dragged something off that visible area. So it's now like in the area around it somewhere, and I can't see it to drag it back in. So let's turn on the machine. Anyone who hasn't experienced the machine before, this is my solder sucker that goes when it's sucking solder. It goes Shall I zoom a little? That seems a little bit far out, doesn't it? Oh, wobble wobble. Oh, that's the other way. There we go. There we go. Let's get that out of the way. So that I can, roll in here without damaging anything. I think that looks like a 610 power supply. A Quadra 610. One of the best computers ever made. Just delete and create a new one. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. What if I did this? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. There it is. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'll just copy this one. Copy. Get rid of that. And paste. How about that? Yeah, look at that. Too easy. Alright, so we are recapping a Mac LC475 power supply. 4765, we all know that special rare variant. Right. Whee! I do have a recapping guide for this one. I'm going to dig it up because there is no way in a million years I'll remember all these caps. Is this it? LC power supply. Is this the same one though? There are more than one of this. This does look like the same one. 270, 25, 27010. These glasses are so dirty. 1000, 270. Yeah, this is the right guide. Everybody happy. Make it a world go round. Right, how are we doing on the solder sucker here? We heated up yet? Oh, I put the small nozzle on it. And I want the big nozzle, don't I? Yeah, chicken. Okay, that one's clean. That one's got a little bit of leakage. Yeah, definitely leakage coming out of that one. So, good idea to be doing this now. It's only going to get worse. A little bit of leakage on that one, but not much. Oh, that's very leaky. I'm not sure if you can see that. That might have to be one for the microscope later on. But that is very out of focus. Come on. There we go. There we go. It's leaky. I don't think there's any benefit from showing that to you up close because I don't think you could see it even when it came in focus. It's a bit like a cow, isn't it? Bit of a moo sound. Ow. Come on. Melt, you sucker. I hate bent pins. I understand why they bend pins, but I hate bent pins. So I am going to replace this great big massive one here. I generally don't have any issues on this. And I'm not going to replace this little tiny one here because they're generally not really a problem either. I'm not even sure if I have a replacement for that, to be honest. 8.2 microfarads. Oh. That was nice. Still on the original gun for your machine? No, I'm not on the original gun. This is a new gun. The original one was blue. This is now green. This is this Pros Kit one. But what I also did was I bought a replacement heating element, and I intend to put the new heating element into the old gun so that one's there as a spare. But this one here, even though it looks identical to the old one, is definitely made better. It's far superior. Right, okay. So I'm just going to get a couple of cotton buddy Q-tippy type things, and I'm just going to clean some of this excess off here. I'm not sure that this would warrant an ultrasonic clean, this one. I mean, maybe or maybe not, I don't know. But I don't think so. I'll probably just hit this with the air compressor to blow the excess dust off, and it didn't have that much leakage. I mean, it's got a bit of yellowy scunge there, but that's about it. Then we just got to put some new caps in. That'll be a fun, a fine how do you do. Let me see if I can find this leaky one. There it is. Here's the leaky one. And we'll just get the microscope here, and we will do a little bit of this. Where are we? I'm trying to do this. There we go. There we go. Look at all that leakage. Look at that lovely goodness. That cap is over. Right. What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? Lots of things. I need 10 volt, 25 volt. So that's good. I only need two containers to get out. 10 volt and 25 volt. There's my 25. And here's my 10. Ow. 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 Okay. glory of caps. This is the way I store them. It's not good, but it's what I have. 10 volt. So in 10 volt we need 3 1000s and 1 270. So don't tell me I don't have 3 1000s. I have 3 1000s. What have I got here? These are, I think, Nichicon. What are these ones? These are... Oh, no name brand. I can't see the name on them. Oh, Rubicon. They're good too. Let's replace them with the Nichicons, because they're at least the same colour as the originals, so it'll feel nice and authentic. Where are we? And 1 270. And 4725. I've just got this horrible feeling that I rated a lot of these lately. 4725. 5625. And 27025. I should mention that some of these capacitor sizes are actually getting a little bit hard to find these days, or certainly harder to find than they used to be, because technology is changing. People aren't building things in the same way that they used to build them. And, you know, just sort of finding some of these capacitor sizes in through-hole capacitors is just getting a little bit harder. You don't have as many choices of manufacturers anymore. Stupid tape. Stupid. I promise this will be the last thing I do in this live stream. I'll finish up after that. Everyone can go back about their business. Okay. Guide. Let us start with the 270-10. Don't ask me why we're starting with that, but it just feels like the right thing to do. Was that this one? Yes. 270 microfarad, 10 volts, and it goes... This is really not working for me. I have to put this here. There. It goes there. Now, a couple of ways you can stick these on. You can bend the pins out, which of course I just talked about how much I hate that. One of the things I do, if I'm trying to hold something in place and solder it at the same time, I put a little bit of flux on there, not much, just enough to make the solder want to be there. And then I just get some solder on the end of my iron. Sorry, the soldering iron went to sleep. Get some solder on the end of the iron, and then just put it there, and the solder just transfers across to it nice and neatly. And then I can just put it down and solder the other side now. Now the downside to that, of course, it means you end up getting flux on the board, which I prefer not, because I don't want to put this one through the ultrasonic cleaner. I just want to clean it with a toothbrush. So, that was one method of doing it, but that's not how I'm going to do the rest of them, because I don't want this board ending up covered in flux. Monitoring a 3D print, helping someone diagnose an Apple IIgs remotely with only a multimeter. Yes, indeed. That sounds like fun. Okay. It's over here now. 147.25. Where have we got him? 47.25. There we go. 47.25. 47.25. And he's going to go over here next to the connector. Yep. Minus plus. Come on. If you bend the pins a little bit so that it doesn't fall out, so that you're actually holding it in, I can then put some solder on one of the pins, like this. It's a little bit wobbly. And then I do it on just one pin, and then I hold this down from the other side, push it until it's flush while I'm melting it, let that go hard, and then I solder the other side. So we'll just do an action replay of that in a moment. There we go. By the way, some of these really big capacitors, these big ones, they hold a huge amount of power even when you take them off. So it's a good idea to discharge them if you're going to be working on these sorts of things afterwards. You just get like a screwdriver and run it across the pins like that. Make sure you don't get your skin or anything close to them. And they go pop, and it always scares the hell out of me. Right. Just having a look over here. Right. Okay, we're nearly done here, by the way. This isn't a big recapping job, this one. 5625. This one? Yep. The screen printing on this board highlights the negative pin. So the negative pin being the one with the big stripe down the side. And so I'm just going to hold this in here. I'm just going to bend these pins out a little, but not too much. Get a little bit of solder onto here. And then push it down. Make sure it's flush on the board. Melt the solder again. Make sure it's straight. Yep, straight as. And then solder the other side. Always like my solder joints to look nice and neat. As much as possible, I like it if at the end of it, if someone looks at it, they're not really sure which are the new joints and which are the old joints. That's always the plan. Right. Next one is 270.25. That's this one here, I think. Yep. 270.25. And they live... Hey, what? What have I done? What? 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 Okay, it's all good. 270.25. Yep, okay. Alright, got it. Everything's fine. It's okay. You can all relax now. Everything's fine. Right. It's actually stopped raining here at the moment. Oh no, it's not. It's still raining. It's sprinkling. I'd very much like it to stop raining. I have a few outdoor tasks I have for today. And I would really like it to stop raining in order for me to perform those outdoor tasks. I've ordered a little kit from, I think it might have even been from Amazon. It's on its way out now, and it's a little surface mount soldering practice kit. And it just comes with a whole bunch of little surface mount kits. And when you finish it, you power it up, and it flashes a whole bunch of LED lights and things like that. Which I am going to probably build that, and I'll do a video of it when I do, because I am gradually adding to my videos about soldering, and I plan to do the next one I'm going to be doing will be soldering a kit, and then the one after that will be soldering surface mount components. So I'm just you know, a little bit at a time. All right, And then we've got these two here, which are our 1000. And I need 3 of those. Did I get 3 out? Yeah, I did. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So plus, minus, and plus, minus. Incidentally, this is what the old ones look like. This is what the new ones look like. As you can see, the new ones are generally smaller than the old ones. When you're buying all these replacement caps, you just need to make sure that the pins are the same distance apart, and you have to make sure they're not like fatter and they go fit in the hole. Get in there. There we go. Yes, it's not particularly cold here or anything like that. Always, you can tell as I'm wearing a t-shirt. Now, thankfully, I do actually have a working 475 here. So when I finish recapping this, I'll be able to test it with one that I know works. So, won't that be nice? There's the last 3 caps. Okay, so let us clean a little bit of fluxaroonie off here. Make sure he's all looking tidy and nice. Delicious, delicious. Just doing a little quick double check here, make sure I've got the polarities right on all these, because anyone who's ever put the polarity of a capacitor on a power supply around the wrong way, probably would be aware of the fact that it's fairly exciting things can happen. I can do without that sort of excitement, thank you. Right. Got to solder it back onto the thingy with the thing here. Thankfully these are labelled, so this tells me NL, so neutral, which is blue, and live, which is brown. So I'm going to get my live one, my brune. I'm just going to squeeze it so it fits through the hole. That's the wrong way around. Smart fella me. Poke it through that way, shall we? Yeah, so we can actually solder it. This is gonna suck. This is gonna suck. Getting this to stay in. Where's my big solder? I've got a big solder spool. Here it is. Good. That's good. It's very good. Sorry, I know I'm doing this off camera at the moment. I'm having to bring it close to my eyes, as I don't see too good, you know? I want that to be in more. I'm just trying to figure out how I do that without burning myself. Come on. Ah. Oh, God, that's hard. It's just in a really, really bad position. Okay. That'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. No. I'm not going to cut it. No. Nuh-uh. Right, so that's all good. We're going to plonk this down. It's got a little slot. It can only go in one way, sort of thing. So there's a little plastic round thing that that big capacitor lives in. So there we go, just like that. And of course, these little screw holes will line up, just like that. You know what I should do? I should put some thermal paste on here first. Love thermal paste. I'm not going to do the expensive, thermal paste that I would use on a CPU for this. It's just, cheapy stuff. Oh, don't come out like that. This stuff is gross. Gross. Thank you, Dana. Thank you for joining. Enjoy your snooze. You leave now, you're going to miss me getting thermal compound all over my fingers and making noises. There we go. So we can do these two up now. If we can find the screwdriver, which is just here. Oopsie. Can I do these up yet? I think I can. So, who here thinks it was extremely presumptuous of me to just go ahead and put this all back together when I haven't tested it yet? I'm just going to get a big pair of pliers and bend this back into shape. Big pair of pliers. Hello. Where's my big pair of pliers? Oh, this is big enough. They're not that big, but they're big enough. So, we are just going to keep moving ahead like we're certain that this is going to work. Oh, I got thermal compound in my hand. Oh. Why isn't it fitting properly? Oh, I know why, because I did put those screws on prematurely. You know, when I put those on, I said, oh, they go on now? Oh, yeah, they go on now. No, they don't go on now. They go on after. Yeah, it goes on much easier when you do it right. Much easier. Alright, then we're going to screw these two up and we'll get all of that thermal compound getting squished up against the metal. I do love repairability. I do love things that are repairable. It brings me joy. And it is frustrating when computers, or any device for that matter, starts getting made in a way that makes them very, very difficult or impossible to repair. It's very wasteful. Okay, so here's a 475 that I prepared earlier that does work. It's mine too, by the way. Pretty sure this one's mine. Could be someone else's, but I'm pretty sure it's mine. And got myself a couple of 512 meg VRAM sims and a 32 megabyte RAM sim. Excuse me. So I have every reason to believe that this one works. We need an old SCSI 2SD here, because we're going to want to boot it, because, you know, that's what we do. And, oh, you know what I didn't bring? I didn't bring the little, who's the thingy? What's a fudge? Let me go get it. Let me go get it. I know exactly where it is. It's sitting on the table ready to bring down, but I didn't bring it down. The thing that allows me to show you what I'm looking at on the screen here. Which screen? This screen. So I need to get this, this, and let me just check the settings on the back of this. We want this on that mode there, which is switch 3 and 4 on, which they already are, so don't need to do anything. Alright, so this will be the last thing I do before I call it a day or night, depending on where you are. I think this is mine. Well, it works either way. There we go. Alright, so I may stream after you, Bruce. That's what we all want to hear, Steve. That is what we want to hear. Okay, so bear with me a minute. I am just going to duck up and grab this thingy, and I will be right back. Well, hello. So now, just a warning. Often when I plug things into the USB bus on this computer, all of a sudden the screen just freezes up. And then all hell breaks loose. You'll still hear me, but you just may not see me anymore. But we've got to try. We have to try. We have to say we tried. I'm scared though. Okay. I have to make sure I don't get myself into some sort of weird position, because then it'll just be frozen that way. So far so good. Alright. Alright, so this is the recapped power supply. Yeah, you gotta watch me blow this up before you go and watch something else. Right, ready? Hang on. Hang on. Oh, we'll try it. We'll see how it goes. It's not switched on. It is switched on. Let's switch it off. How confident are we feeling? Huh? Huh? All right. We got a little blink from the thing. And this might be the 475 that has no sound. Oh, look at that. Okay, now we know what the problem is here, because we've been here before. This is lack of termination on the internal SCSI bus, and we can fix that. I've got a tissue stuck up there. What do you call that thing? Fume extractor. So we need to provide some termination to the internal SCSI bus, and biggity bam! That's my happy dance. Power supply works. And that's my happy dance for getting $2.99 from the House of Moff. Christopher Bourne, hello. So I've got a few 475s here at the moment. There's my own. I really do need to get stickers to put on mine. I know whose is whose because I have all the serial numbers recorded. But at a glance, I don't have a way of just immediately identifying, oh, that's my 475. And I've got one 475 here at the moment with no sound. And I've got one 475 here that doesn't boot. And then I've got my 475 floating around here as well. So this is one of those. What do you reckon XX report is? XX report. We're reporting on XXs. I don't think it's as sinister as you might think it is. I assure you that. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're going here, so we can open the old. I did one of these the other day, actually, and I what do you call it? Overclocked it. So anyone who wants to watch that video, it's there. It's just as interesting as this one. Yeah, okay. Good old System 7.5. I've got a few applications and games on this. This is my multi-boot system. Whoops! And that I've just renamed Zero. Because I have got things resting on the keyboard, which I have just removed. Name is too long. Multi-boot system. So I have, it's not here anymore, but this is where it used to live. I have a pre-built system 6.0, no, a pre-built system 7.01, pre-built system 7.5, and a pre-built 701, 7.1, 7.5. So when people buy SCSI2SDs from me and they say, hey, I want it plug and play, I set it all up, format the SD card, send it to them so they can just plug it into a computer and boot straight into whichever system they want. So I've got a 7.1, 7.5, and a 7.01. Yeah, so in here we've got things like a few games and things like Prince of Persia and Puffleshuck. And of course, if we're going to be talking games that you'll regularly see me playing, we will be talking about things like Warlords and Warcraft. No, not Warcraft, and Civilization. But we always like a little bit of Wolfenstein. When you say best wire to use for general purpose usage, that's fairly broad. Are you talking about for trace repair, or are you just talking about like, wire like this sort of stuff that you'd just be doing for a bit of wiring up? Oh, and so Mac84, Steve, are you going to live stream when I finish? Because if you are, I'm going to give you a great big old plug and tell everyone to head over there. Do you have the thing, the link to send people there already? Do you need a little bit more time to get the link ready to go? Escape from Wolfenstein. Can I play, Daddy? Scheduled for 10:30 p.m. Okay, so that's okay. So yeah, it's 10:18 now your time, isn't it? So dun 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 dun. I'm doing the music because I don't have the speaker connected up. Dun 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 dun. I'm being shot at. I probably should. Which button is it? No, that's not it. Is that one? That one. There we go. Oh, I'm dead. Wasn't that fun? All right, well, I am going to wrap it up now, so I'm going to just jump back to this. Oh, I better shut this down. Quit. Yes. And always remember to shut down your Macintosh. Special shutdown. So there's a successful recap of LC475 power supply. Feeling good about it. Okay, so everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me company while I did this work. As usual, thank you for jumping on and saying hello. Don't forget, it is MARCHintosh, so go and check out some of that MARCHintosh content. There's a link down in the description of where you can see all of the MARCHintosh YouTube content. Steve, Mac84, is going to be live streaming as soon as I finish, so use that link, jump across and go and join his and type and chat and be happy and active and stuff like that. And, yeah. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. Thanks for keeping me company and things. So, getting ready to press that button, click the old end stream button, then the uncomfortable moment where I sit here and wait for the confirmation to come up, and then I say thank you and goodbye to you all. See you next time. Bye.